Hello everyone, this is Insta here. How you all doing? Hope you're doing great. Welcome back at my series A Legend's Tale. We are at Season 1, Episode 7, which is the second last one of Season 1, which I've called The Pirate. It will take around 54 minutes. This is actually the very last episode, which will introduce a brand new storyline, because the season finale of my first season, which is the next episode, that is actually the first episode that will continue with each episode actually going about multiple different storylines. So as a normal series episodes actually would go. This is the last episode that will be around a completely new storyline. So yeah guys, without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Let's get into this. It was a quiet night on the quiet waters of a distance. A small layer of fog hovered over the surface like a comfortable blanket almost. The moonlight is blocked by clouds in the sky. Through the fog appears a silhouette of a great vessel, a large wooden beast with 2 masts, white sails and 10 cannons. A ship of the Platinum Fleet. The Platinum Fleet has over 300 ships in function of either trade for the capital or for the protection of it. This ship carries weaponry, steel and iron, all supplied from the platinum mines in the ancient. A fresh supply for the arena of the capital, of which the cells fill with more gladiators every day. As the ship calmly sails en route to the river pass that leads straight to the capital, the crew spends its time with the usual things, either sleeping in the steerage, having guard duty on deck, or playing games. The captain of the ship sits in his cabin, overlooking the route. The route from the platinum mines to the capital is a swift one and normally has few risks that come with it. Yet, during these quiet nights, especially when the moonlight is not in their favor, awareness needs to be maximum. Haunted nights often bring unexpected surprises, and surprises there are indeed. In the cover of darkness, unaware to the crew on deck, a small lifeboat floats right in the direction of the ship. A crew member notices the lifeboat. Almost an ant in comparison with the giant that is the ship they are on. The crew member alerts the rest and the captain comes on deck. The boat hits the front of the ship, but even through the cover of almost complete darkness, the crew can see that the boat is empty. Yet out of the night comes another empty lifeboat, and another one, and another one. At a certain point, there were so many empty lifeboats floating next to the ship that the whole crew could get in them. Confused, the captain orders a crew member to scout for a possible ship in distress. As everyone ponders around the ship, some in search of a possible ship in need in the distance, others trying to figure out where the boat might come from, the water over which the ship sails might not appear as motionless as it seems. Out of the darkness of the water, spots of black make their way through the side of the ship, perfectly blended with the darkness of night. The spots move towards the ship's side. 7 spots on the left side, 4 spots at the back, and 6 spots on the right. As quiet as a night's breeze itself, the spots climb out of the water and they reveal their true human features. 17 men and women, totally covered in camouflage, climb onto the side of the ship as quiet and gently as possible. At the right side is their leader, a woman not older than 30 with a medium-sized sword on her side, her auburn hair all put backwards with a hairband. Her blue eyes have mastered the vision of the night, thus they are perfect for scouting the area. As she leads her others slowly onto the ship, the captain goes back into his cabin. He sits in his chair in front of his office, thinking about if they might need to take another route. Unaware to him, behind him, several silhouettes climb over a giant window at the back of the cabin. The first couple of intruders arrive at the top deck, near the steering wheel. The crew member in charge of it fails to notice the 4 dark figures slowly approaching behind him. In the blink of an eye, one of the intruders takes down the crew member, knocking him unconscious, and gently placing him down without alerting the rest. The leader just looks over the side of the ship and sees several dozens of crew members walking around and talking. She looks at the top deck and notices how the other 4 have reached their position. She gives a signal to the other 4. The 4 men on top take out the bows and arrows they had carried along with them. Each of them aims at the lights that are scattered around on deck. These lights are the only sources of visibility the crew have. Without them, they are blind in the darkness. That's exactly what the leader knows. She gives another signal. At that moment, The four men shoot their arrows at all the lights on deck. Chaos erupts among the crew members as the lights go out one by one. The captain hurries himself outside and sees his crew panicking as if they are being attacked by ghosts. Visibility drops with every light that is knocked out by an arrow. The leader and the other intruders remain silent on the side of the ship. The captain orders everyone to take out their weapons and fix the lights. With that final order, the last light is shot by the final arrow. The deck of the ship is now filled with darkness. The only light is that from the captain's cabin. The silence that hovers over the deck of the ship now is to die from. The captain boldly urges everyone to stay alert and remain calm. The captain himself wisely stays near the remaining light of his open cabin, along with some others. Only a gentle breeze and the light waves of the sea can be heard. That and the heavy breathing of most of the crew. Suddenly, a shout is heard, but instantly cut off. The sound of someone falling on the ground. Another scream that is quickly cut off, and another sound of someone falling on the ground. It's coming from the darkness. More crew members head towards the back of the ship to remain in the light of the cabin. More screams and sounds of struggling come from the darkness that hovers over the deck. Only the captain and 5 other crew members stand in the light of his cabin. The other 25 should be further on deck, but there's nothing, not a sound. The silence has returned. All 5 crew members stare with fright at the darkness, as if some monster is coming to get them. The captain orders 2 to go and check where the others are. Trembling on their legs, 2 crew members slowly step into the darkness and disappear before the rest. After a few seconds, another scream is heard and another one, both immediately cut off. Then the sound of 2 heavy objects falling on the ground. The captain and the last remaining 8 crew members all head into the captain's cabin and lock the door firmly and set up a defensive position inside, all with their swords and bows and arrows facing towards the door. The captain calms his men down. Whatever happens, whoever it might be, at least they will give them a fight. This gives the other crew members at least a little bit of courage. However, none of the occupants in the cabin mind to turn their heads around towards the glass window at the back. As they all face towards the door, 4 silhouettes appear again, this time stopping right in front of the window. One crew member turns around and sees them. At the moment he wants to alert the rest, the 4 silhouettes come crashing through the window, holding their swords up high. At that same moment, the door gets breached by the other 13 intruders, all with swords, bows and arrows. The captain swings his sword towards one of the intruders in defense, but quickly gets kicked down on the ground as the other 3 crew members are put in check. The leader of the intruders stands in front of the captain on the ground, assuring him that there's no need for a fight. The captain is even more confused now. He's taken outside while he accuses them all of murdering his crew and they will be severely punished. As they exit the cabin and reach the deck again, finally some moonlight shines through the dark clouds and lights up the whole deck. All the other 25 crew members lie on the ground, unconscious, not dead. The captain is even more confused now and demands to know who the intruders are. The leader mentions no names, only their interests, namely the ship's cargo. Stealing from property that belongs to the capital is crime of the highest order. That makes the captain very clear. But the intruders don't really care about that. The captain then takes a good look at all of them. Medium-sized swords on their sides, and judging by their outfits being very camouflaged and dirty, not mentioning the camouflaging mud on their faces, there's only one option left. They're pirates. The number 1 criminals of the world. The leader forces him to take them to the cargo, which he does. They do most certainly like what they see. Swords, spears, arrows, all freshly forged at the platinum mines and their forges. A great addition to their own stock now. The tons of steel and iron will surely be of much use as well. The leader shows it to the others as they all cheer for the large loot they have just won. The captain does wonder why they don't just kill him and his crew. The leader answers by saying that if it's this easy to win the entire cargo of a ship of the Platinum Fleet without any loss of life, why should I bother to kill him anyway? The captain does try to threaten them. They won't be taking the ship with him, his crew, or his cargo. The leader laughs and says that she will, but just not with him and his crew. Some time later, the captain and all his crew members who have regained consciousness are being put in the lifeboats who were floating next to the ship after some pirates had attached them with ropes. Just enough for the whole crew and the captain. They are given oars so they can row towards the capital, even if it would take them days to reach it. As the pirates depart with their new ship, the captain yells at them that Mayor Lucille and Queen Anthea will hear about this. The leader yells back that he should not forget to mention that they spared all of their lives. The leader orders her fellow pirates to set sail for their home, the Cove of Black Sails. They all cheer as they take control over the ship. With the sun that is starting to rise over the horizon and the morning winds that are coming up, the ship sets sail for the pirates' home with full speed. Across the sea, over the waves and through the wind, the ship takes on the form of a mighty vessel. The pirate leader stands on deck with the wind in her face. The feeling of being invincible has never been so great during moments like these. She walks across the deck, helping her fellow mates, getting respect in return. As she checks them, a pirate announces the arrival. They have reached home, the Cove of Black Sails, a bay east of the continent, home to all the pirate lords, for many known as the criminal headquarters of the world, yet for pirates it means safety. The bay is home to 200 ships, the majority are actual pirate ships. The rest are all trophies of successful conquests and missions. As they sail further inwards, a loud horn is sounded from the hills of High Keep, the settlement of the pirates. A semi-large wooden city on the cliffs of the bay, next to a beautiful waterfall. A large part of the city is made out of pieces of shipwrecks. Here and there are masts put together to form some sort of construction, together with pieces of deck, stern, etc. Without a doubt, one of the most creative settlements of the entire continent. These are pirates, they only have themselves. They have no grand architectures and builders like they have in the capital. They sail towards the docks, past all the different ships. People from the docks can already see them, a sign of a great victory. The leader steps inside the captain's cabin, where she has found a small chest with coin in it. Not that much, but enough to view as a reward. As they dock, the leader looks at her crew and congratulates them on their good work. She tosses all of the coin in the air towards her crew. She tells them to enjoy themselves with it for tonight, as she steps out of the ship onto the mainland. Here, she's met by another pirate who informs her that she's asked to go to the fort, the main structure at High Keep, and the place that is meant as a gathering for all the high-ranking pirates. She heads there as she enjoys the sunlight in her face and the view of the large waterfall coming down the cliffs. The only way up to High Keep is via stairs in the rocks. A long way up, but for these men and women, it can be viewed as a daily routine exercise. The leader enters the fort. A big door is opened for her as she walks through, as all the majority of the eyes inside the hallway of the fort all face towards her. A loud voice at the back of the hall shouts to her, calling her by the name of Beatrix. Beatrix smiles and walks straight towards the person calling for her at the end of the hall. A slightly older woman, around 40 years of age. Brown hair with almost the exact same outfit as Beatrix. Beatrix calls her Elettra, her aunt. They both hug each other and Elettra orders the rest of all the pirates standing around them to head to the meeting room. The meeting room is the center of the fort, the place where every mission, every decision, everything a pirate has ever done is decided here. The most important place of the fort, thus the most important place of High Keep, and of all the Cove of Black Sails. The large rectangle table is set in the middle, with a huge map of all the continents drawn on it. Bookshelves, candles and paintings on the walls all cover the large meeting room. At the end, a huge balcony that leads to a beautiful view over the cove, right next to the waterfall. A place for kings and queens. All of the pirates gather around the table as Beatrix and Elettra also make their way. Aunt and niece, yet they feel like mother and daughter. Their bond and sheer willpower are the foundation stones which make the Cove of Black Sails so strong as it is today. At least that's what they say. Although there is no official leader of the pirates, it's still a matter of reputation and respect who gets the most say in the affairs, which in this case are Beatrix and Elettra. Beatrix gets to the point very quickly, and then points outside to the bay. They can welcome the newest addition to their fleet, a transport vessel from the Platinum Fleet. With it come enough weapons to arm at least 15% of their population, and extra steel and iron to forge ones for the rest. Everyone cheers as Beatrix stands on the balcony facing the bay, really feeling like a queen. Elettra cheers as well, and is sure that Beatrix sent all the original crew members to the deepest depths of the distance. Beatrix slowly turns around and confronts her with exactly the opposite. She put all the crew members and their captain in lifeboats and sent them to the capital. A victorious cheer has never faded away so fast after these words were said. Elettra stares at Beatrix, a smile that ever so slowly changes into disbelief. Elettra orders everyone to leave the room. Everyone immediately complies. Disobeying Elettra herself is one of the most foolish things a man can do in these parts. The silence remains until the very moment the doors are closed and the aunt and niece have the whole room for themselves. Elettra asks if it's really true, which of course it is. She slowly walks over to the map on the table. Beatrix remains calm as she stands on the balcony and asks if she disapproves. Enraged, Elettra accuses Beatrix of doing one of the most stupidest acts she has ever seen. Beatrix, however, hardly sees the issue. She conquered a transport vessel with tank cannons, weaponry, and material for creating more weapons, and all of that without any loss of life. It's something you should be proud of, according to her. Elettra counters this by saying that this isn't the same thing as the time Beatrix freed the slaves from the slave ships headed towards the capital. Mayor Lucille of the capital has been in conflict with them since the moment she earned control of that damned city. Sending survivors to her front gate is literally challenging the devil by taunting him with imaginary control. Beatrix, again, really doesn't see what the fuss is about. Lucille and their Platinum Fleet have never even dared to send their ships this far east. They don't even know these waters, they don't know the sea. They never even dared to come outside that bloody wall they've built so many years ago. Elettra counters with a strong statement. It's fear that kept them away all this time. Show them that we have grown too merciful and our enemies will turn the opposite. Beatrix eventually suggests to send the ship after them, but Elettra claims that it's too late for that. If they send the ship after them now, they will only reach them when they have already reached the river delta, and those are dangerous waters for them. She eventually does apologize and thought it would make her aunt happy. She is dismissed by her and leaves. Elettra does say that she finds it odd how she trained Beatrix all these years to be a fighter. Beatrix says that indeed she did. She raised her to become a fighter, not a killer. On that note, Beatrix leaves and Elettra stays behind in the room as she also looks from the balcony to the new ship that her niece has brought. An ever so slight smile does appear on her face. At night, the cove is almost straight out of a fairy tale. The moon shines above the sea, right at the center if you look at the horizon from the top of the cliffs. The waterfall flows in all its glory, stars shine in the sky and crickets can be heard. At least that's how it is if you're down at the docks. Up in High Keep, the sounds of music, drinking and laughter are all that matter. The wooden city turns into a huge feast every night and everyone is invited. In a local bar, a slightly drunk Beatrix buys several dozen drinks for her crew. And in the same bar, an arm wrestling competition is being done. Two bears of men with arms that can crush a man's skull, it seems. Everyone needs their own type of enjoyment. Beatrix sits with her crewmates and does what everyone does. Bet wages. And so, the night goes on. Alone in the meeting room, Elettra stands on the balcony still, with all the feast noises in the background. She stares at the armada in the bay, thinking, contemplating. The saint that she is, she has never even touched a drop of alcohol. Her mind always fixed at being alert and ready, always on top of things, just like a pirate leader should be in her eyes. At the bar, the wages keep on going. The round is won by another beast of a man who even his muscles have muscles, it seems. The loser, quite an ordinary man it seems, hardly a scar on him. Not too old, only somewhere in his 20s, short black hair and not the most sober look on his face. The most noticing aspect, however, was a slight burn mark on his right cheek that stretched all the way down until his clothes covered it. That being said, he already has done about 3 rounds, all of them lost. He demands to try again. Everyone looks at him, almost in awe, even Beatrix. Some laugh, some remain silent. Who would dare to challenge the 3 times loser in a row? Eventually, some crew members start to vote for Beatrix. It doesn't take long, or everyone in the bar is cheering for Beatrix to take it up against the young lad. She stands up eventually and heads over to the table. Their arms clash and the wagers are being done, all in favor of Beatrix. The bartender starts the round and in less than 10 seconds, Beatrix wins, causing everyone to cheer for her again. She stands up and looks at the man, with a disappointed look on his face. Beatrix is handed over some money from the bets. She takes it and gives it to him, telling him to go and seek a fight that he actually can win. He hesitantly takes the money, stands up, and leaves. Around midnight, Beatrix decides to leave the bar and head to her cottage, somewhere further on the cliffs. She walks through the streets of High Keep. Who could ever think a pirate life could be like this? No fighting, no killing each other because of a miserable quarrel, just a whole clan together enjoying what they have, here in their own little place of isolation. At that moment, a man gets thrown out of an open door, with a group of angry muscles after him. They catch the man and hold him by his throat, ordering him to give their money back. He claims to know of nothing. Beatrix knows him, the same man from earlier in the night. They throw him on the ground, ready to beat the truth out of him. At the moment the leader's fist rises in the air, Beatrix intervenes, catches his fist and punches him in the face. The rest immediately stand down. You don't want to fight with Beatrix, even the biggest fool knows that. They run off as the man, slightly disorientated, stands on his feet. From up close he looks even more miserable than he appeared to be in the bar. The smell of pure alcohol and smoke is on him, like it came with his presence as a standard feature. She reminds him again of choosing his fights more carefully. He's even more ashamed now than he was previously. She asks if he lives far away from here, which he doesn't. Thus, she brings him to his house. They walk along the cliffs with a gorgeous view of the city in the background. She asks him after his name. Azriel it is. After asking him what kind of profession he has around here, he claims to have once been a sailor under the command of her aunt Elettra. She acts very surprised. Usually only the biggest and fiercest ones serve under her command. She didn't say these words, however, she did think them. It didn't matter now anyway, as it appears Azriel works in the weapon forges now. Azriel almost magically takes another bottle of liquor from underneath his clothes and takes a sip from it. Who cares about a view of the sea with the moon shining high and a waterfall flowing gloriously when you have your bottled sorrow remover at hand? Beatrix asks what his fight with those other men was about, to which Azriel answers that they claimed he stole some of their drinks. Beatrix looks how he takes another sip. Maybe he should have just let himself get beaten up. At least he then wouldn't have been a successful thief. Azriel laughs, claiming he never was the strongest, nor the bravest, but he has always been quick, and not too dumb if he may say so himself. Beatrix claims that if he actually would be smart, he'd let that drink be for what it is, instead of viewing it like his lover. Azriel laughs out loud this time. He looks her directly in the eyes. She, Beatrix, niece of the great Elettra. No doubt she gets carried everywhere she wants, not a worry or sorrow on her mind. And why blame her? She's good in what she does. She has family, a crew who admire her. In fact, all the people here admire her. She just has to snap her fingers and all her wishes are fulfilled. She just has to give an order and her vast intelligence is praised like it has been the gift from the gods. She's as good as royalty. Yet has she ever wondered what it's like to be someone who spends his or her life doing nothing but listening and accepting? All these words come shooting out of Azriel's mouth at Beatrix. She's startled, to say the least. She claims that being a self-pitiful drunk won't help him change his state of mind. Azriel laughs again as he takes another sip, claiming as if Beatrix's crew members never drink, as she does as well. Beatrix stands firm and states that her crew don't have anything to complain and curse about. She takes care of them. Azriel replies by asking how she can be so sure of that. By the smiles on their faces? People so often judge each other by the smiles on their faces, yet have no idea how fragile those can be. Smiles have so often meant death. On that note, Azriel leaves, saying that he'll find his way back to his home by himself. Beatrix stands still as she lets it sink in. No person has ever spoken to her like Azriel just did. and they knew each other for only one short night. Azrael arrives home, a small wooden cottage not too far from Highkeep, but far enough to call it private. He throws away the empty liquor bottle as he enters his home. It's dark inside, as he's forced to light a fire in the ever so small hearth he has at the back of his bedroom. As the fire burns, Azrael undresses himself slowly, as if he has some difficulty with it. As he drops his top clothing, a severely burned body is revealed. Both of his arms, his neck, his throat, his back, his entire torso, none of it has natural skin. All of it's scorched. When he drops his trousers, his legs are burned as well. Almost the entirety of his body. He sits there in front of the hearth, already having accepted his appearance. Alone in his little isolation, with no one else to comfort him. Just him, his hearth, and soft bed. That same night, a lonesome pirate ship ventures out into the night. Fog hovers over the water as a soft blanket on which everyone should sleep. The ship, 20 cannons, 2 masts, and a crew of about 60 pirates stand on deck, doing their job. The captain stands beside the oar, scouting in the distance. Visibility is very minimal, dangerous for every man who travels these waters. Suddenly, a crew member claims to see something in the distance, a shadow of some sort. The captain focuses attention in a given direction. Not a sound can be heard, nothing. The first mate almost laughs about it, perhaps it's ghosts. Suddenly, without a warning or without a bargain, guns are fired from the fog. The pirate ship gets attacked and blown to pieces as several crew members are swung into the air from the cannon shots. The captain orders everyone to open fire, but at what are they firing? There's only mist, nothing that can give away where the shots are coming from. Another round of cannon shots are fired, and another. The crew are being swung and killed. The cannonball hits one of the masts, causing it to fall directly on the ship itself, nearly cutting several crew members in half. The oar gets blown apart and water already fills the open gaps of the ship. It all happens so fast. Shot after shot, blood flows everywhere, fire rages suddenly on the deck. The captain has no idea what he's seeing. Crew members try their best to stay functional, but it's a carnage. The captain orders everyone to abandon ship as the ship keeps on being attacked by Hades himself, it seems. The very fog and mist around them turns on the ship as an endless round of cannon shots keep unleashing on the ship. The captain throws several men in the few lifeboats remaining, but nearly all get killed by the fire and shockwaves. As he throws a crew member off board in order to survive, the second mast falls. Before the captain can turn around, the mast crushes the captain. Around 10 crew members swim through the water in shock and delirious. The mighty vessel that was roaming the waters only 10 minutes ago now lies in half, burning and sinking. Soon, only some pieces of wreckage can be seen floating. The remaining crew members desperately try to swim and get out of there. In the fog appears a giant silhouette. Whatever it is that attacked them, it's huge and relentless. The next morning, Beatrix lies sleeping in her cottage in Highkeep, dreaming of somewhere wondrous perhaps. The peaceful moment is interrupted as bells are sounded outside. People running and shouting suddenly take over the entire moment. Beatrix, in her sleeping clothes, runs outside. The first person she sees tells her that there has been an attack. Beatrix hurries back inside to put her clothes on. All their high-ranking pirates have been summoned to the fort. Elettra stands as firm and strong as she can when all the high-ranking pirates stand with her around a table in the meeting room. Elettra immediately comes to the point. 4 ships of their armada who are guarding the territory have been attacked last night. All ships sunk, all of the crew, apart from around 20 survivors who have reached the cove this morning, have been killed. They estimate around 250 casualties in total. None of the survivors saw what or who attacked them because of the thick layer of fog hanging over the waters. One pirate is quick to point out the responsible one, Lucille of the capital. She heard of what Beatrix did and sent out a group of vengeful attack ships to seek revenge. It's likely as some others agree with this statement. Revenge after a sign of mercy, just as Elettra has expected. Beatrix defends her actions, however. She spared members of the Platinum Fleet itself. What kind of response is it to kill the ones who spared their lives? Electra remains silent as she watches out to the bay again. Something is hunting them. This isn't the first time they have been attacked, but it is the first time they managed to sink 4 of their ships at once. Another pirate brings up the idea that maybe this is an enemy they haven't met yet. Maybe this is an enemy that they don't know, an enemy that can't be bargained to or negotiated with, judging by the events of last night. Electra asks Beatrix what she thinks they should do. Beatrix thinks for a moment as everyone looks at her. She eventually comes to the plan. Double the patrols around the cove and send out several of their battleships. Whoever might be attacking them, they will hunt them down. They know these waters better than anyone else. Beatrix suggests that they use these waters to their advantage. All of the pirates comply as Electra smiles at Beatrix. She eventually gives out a final order. 10 ships will guard the cove day and night, and another 10 battleships will venture out. Their finest battleships remain here for defense, just in case. All of the pirates leave, but Beatrix is again asked to stay with Electra. She tells her that all their life they have known the safety of the cove. But these 4 ships were attacked last night only several miles away. This enemy doesn't fear them the way they want to. Beatrix is confident, however. Their plan will show their enemy their strengths. Pirates never leave a single stone unturned. Electra looks back at Beatrix and says that she knows, especially since Beatrix will be the one leading the scouting party. This takes Beatrix off guard. She has never been in charge of such a big operation. Electra asks if she believes she's ready for this, to be the true leader she was born to be, and to show mercy and, most of all, be merciless when she needs to be. Beatrix doesn't need to think very long. She stares right back at Electra, saying that she will do her best to make her proud. This pleases Electra, and she sends her away, wishing her good luck. At the docks, all the ships are being loaded with the crews and the captains, as if the pirates are marching off to war. Beatrix walks on the docks towards her ship, a large vessel with dark blue sails, her color. She boards the ship with her sword by her side and her crew in front of her. The crew of around 60 men and women stand in front of her. Beatrix gives a short speech to them. Their home is under attack by an enemy they don't know who or where to find them. But this is their home. It has always been that, and it will always be. And those who dare to challenge the fury of the Black Sails will suffer at all hell that will be unleashed upon them. The whole crew cheers for Beatrix as she orders the first mate to head to the sea, as the other 9 battleships are also ready around them. A mighty sight it is. 20 ships in total venture out of the bay. Hundreds of pirates cheer and shout from the top of the cliffs, feeling like the masters of the world once again. Among them stands Azriel, just watching the view in silence. He then looks at the balcony of the fort, on which he can see Electra also looking down at the ships. He looks at her, only with distrust. Electra looks at the ships with a smile on her face, the face of a victor. The 20 ships sail out of the bay to challenge the enemy, an enemy they don't know, but most likely will see again.